Hi everyone, nice to be back. Today we're going to do some body scan breathing to begin with. We're going to take that right back to the start where we looked at how our bodies are reacting to our deep breaths. So we're going to do that to begin with. And then we're moving on to our origami, our mindful origami. So if you haven't already, you're going to need a piece of square paper. This is one that I've cut from an A4 piece of paper. Just cut the top off to make it square. It's quite a good size, or you can get special origami paper which can be a bit smaller. So hopefully, we had this problem last week. Hopefully I'm going to be able to stay in contact. So let me know if it drops in and out again. Okay. So we're going to be making a lotus flower, which looks something like this. So it starts off simple, and this is what I love about origami. It starts off simple, you do one fold and you think, I've got this, I know how to do it. And then as it progresses, you have this moment of doubt and you think, well, this doesn't look like anything. And then just before the end, it transforms. The last bit of it is quite tricky, and this is the only one I've managed to make without ripping, so I'm no expert, so don't worry about any little rips. You can see this one really didn't go according to plan. So we're letting go of what the product is and we're engaging with the process. So that's the origami chat. So we'll go back and we'll do our first bit of breathing exercise. We're going to do a body scan breathing exercise today, and the aim of this is to check in with our body. We spend a lot of time sort of up in our heads and thinking, worrying, processing, and so this is just to check back in with our body, check any areas of tension, and we're going to breathe through that tension and try and release it a little bit. And even if we don't release it, we've acknowledged that that tension is there and we've had a little look. So first things first, get comfy. You're going to put your feet flat on the floor and your hands on your knees or on your diaphragm, and we're going to do 3 of our old friends, those deep diaphragm breaths. So we're going to breathe in and out, and that's 1, and in and out, and that's 2, and in and out, and that's 3. Okay, so first thing, we're going to examine any tension that we've got in our head and our face. A lot of the time we carry a lot of tension in our jaw, so we're just going to focus in on our head and our face. It might help to close your eyes so you can visualize it better. And then I want you to release any tension you might be holding in your jaw. If you need to touch it, touch it. And we'll do 2 deep breaths here. And it's breathe in and out. And that's 1, and in and out, and that's 2. Okay, we're going to move down to our neck now. You might want to give your neck a bit of a wriggle. See if there's any aches and pains in there. I'm going to do a deep breath in and we're going to release any tension in that neck. So breathe in and out. That's 1. Okay, now we're going to move to our shoulders. We can carry a lot of tension in our shoulders. Again, you might want to move them a little bit just to check in. And we're going to breathe in, and as we breathe out, see if you can drop your shoulders a little bit. So breathe in and out. Drop those shoulders. Okay, we're going to focus on our arms and our hands here. We're going to do a little bit of tension and release, so you can make some fists and then release. And make some fists and then release. Okay, we'll have 2 deep breaths here. Breathe in and out, and that's 1, and breathe in that's 2. Okay, now we're going to move on to our middle and upper back now. I'm going to just examine it, see if you can feel if there's any areas of tension. Acknowledge those, and then as we breathe out, we're just going to breathe out that tension. So in and out. Well done. Okay, now we're going to move to our lower back and our hips. Again, the lower back is where we carry a lot of our stress. So you might be finding at the moment the lower back is causing you a bit of difficulty. We're just going to acknowledge that, and we're just going to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe out that tension. And in and out. Okay, down through our legs now. We're going to feel where our legs are in contact either with the floor or the bed or the chair. Just focus on that feeling, and we're going to breathe in and out. Okay, now down to our feet and our ankles. Just rotate those ankles if you can. And then relax. And you might want to wiggle your toes as well. And then relax and release them. We'll have 2 more deep breaths. And in, out. That's 1. And in, out. And that's 2. Okay. Just notice any areas in your body. We've done a really quick body scan there. So notice any areas that could do with a little bit of a release. And if you ever get a moment, then you can just breathe in, breathe out, and try and release some of that tension. Okay, so now it's time for the origami. So I am not an origami expert. When I knew we were going to be at home, I bought some origami paper for me and my children to do, and the first time I did it I was very frustrated and my children could do it better than me, so it's something that I've persevered with, and still not quite as beautiful as I would like, but what I really have found is that when I'm learning something new, it means that my brain is focused on that and it's not focused on worries and anxieties. So it's a new skill to learn, and it starts off quite simply and then it gets more complicated. So you've got your square, hopefully. Okay, and I'm going to just take a deep breath in before we start. And just notice the paper. We're going to get ready. You might put your hands on the table. So breathe in and out. Okay, the first fold we're going to make is we're going to fold it in half to make a rectangle, like this. There we go. So that's our first fold. As you're folding, it's quite nice to breathe in deeply and out as you make the crease. Okay. Now, one of my favourite things about origami is a lot of the instructions say, and now unfold it. So I like that, the unfolding. So we're going to unfold that, and then we're going to do the same fold in the opposite direction. So we're making a rectangle, and it'll be in 4 quadrants. Okay, now the reason I've chosen this pattern is that there's a lot of repeated folds, and the repetition is nice because it sort of focuses you in, makes it a little bit more meditative than if you're trying to work out what the next fold is. So we've got 4 cycles of the same fold now, which I really like. So we're going to fold in the corner to the middle. And then we're going to just simply repeat with the other 4 corners. As you're folding, as you're making that first fold, have a nice deep breath. And out. And again, so we're really focusing in. We're focusing in on our senses. Moving our hands, how the paper looks. So you should have something that looks a bit like that. So now I'm going to turn it around to make it look like a diamond, and we're going to do the same action. We're going to fold in the corners to the middle, all 4 corners again. And as you fold them in, notice the change in the quality of the paper. So those first 4 folds were quite straightforward, but as the paper gets a bit thicker, there's a bit more resistance. That's okay. So just taking it nice and slow and steady. So we've folded the corners in again. So it's an ever decreasing square. Okay. The next move, you've guessed it, we're going to fold those corners in again. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more tricky. The paper doesn't always behave how you want it to. And there's a lesson for life in there somewhere, that things don't always go to plan. So folding those corners in as best you can. See, my paper's already got a lot of resistance to it now. So we've got an even smaller square. So now we're going to turn it over, and we should have something a bit like that on the back. And then we're going to fold the corners in this way this time. We're going to fold them that way. Now this is the bit where it does get quite tricky to do, and it feels a bit less mindful when you're trying to really fold the paper down. So we're going to fold those corners into the middle again as we've turned it over. Okay. Yeah, mine's certainly getting a bit more tricky now. Okay. And so you can see the paper is resisting now, it doesn't want to stay put. So you've got this sort of formation. Now this next bit is the frustrating and a little bit annoying bit, but that's okay, we can take that in our stride. So what we're aiming to do now, we've got our open side and our closed side. We're aiming to bring these bits of paper over to make the petals, but first of all we're going to do a tiny fold in this corner, and this is where the paper really starts complaining, and this is where you might get a little rip, but don't worry, because the next round sort of is quite forgiving and lets you off the hook a little bit. So we've made our tiny fold in that corner, and we're going to bring this flap, going to hold it, bring this flap over. So I can hear mine starting to rip. That's okay, don't worry. And you can be quite forceful with it. You know, paper, we think of the paper as delicate, but actually, when it's got that many folds in, it's quite tough. That's the first petal made there. And it doesn't matter if it's a bit crinkly, that's okay, it's supposed to be like that. Okay, and now this corner, and do the same with each of these 4 corners. A tiny little fold there, barely even a fold. It's just pushing the corner down. And then we're going to bring the petal over. There we go. I've managed not to rip mine, so that's a first, if I'm honest. I've made about 10 of these and we're doing well. Okay, so next corner, tiny little push down of that corner there, and bring this flat round and through. Now this one's a lot more tricky. Feel it if it's ripped a tiny bit, but that's okay. So there we go. Got 3. Our last tricky corner now. Push that corner in a little bit, and then bring this last one over. You can be quite rough with it. You can see that mine's ripped a little bit. That's okay. Okay. So you've got your 4 petals, like that. And we're on to the last step now. So on the back you've got these 4 triangular flaps, and we're just going to pull them round as well. These should be a lot easier. So that's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And there you have lotus flower. So you can see that mine's really creased, and you can see it's been through the wars a bit, but actually the overall effect, apart from this one, is okay. And what I love about origami, it sort of has, without getting too kind of lyrical about it, sort of like has a lot of life lessons in it. You know, sometimes a fold doesn't work, and that fold there didn't work, but has it really affected the end result? Not too much. And I like the folding and the unfolding. I think that feels to me quite reassuring and relaxing. So hopefully you've got something. I'd love to see them if you pop them on there. Next week I thought we would do a little bit of counted breathing, and there's been some research into slowing your breathing down, and we'll have a little talk about that. And then we might revisit and do a slightly different take on a kindness compassion meditation, because as we're getting further into lockdown, it's you know, if you're in a busy house, then you're sometimes can be difficult. It can be really difficult when there's lots of different personalities. So we're working on being kind to ourselves and developing compassion for other people's feelings. And if you live alone, you need to have that kindness and compassion for yourself as well. So we'll revisit it slightly differently. After the video, I'm going to put the instructions just in case we had a poor connection at the start. So I'm going to put the instructions for this on the group, and the website that it's from is called Origami Guide, and I found that the really straightforward, lovely, simple explanations. The pictures are really clear, which is what I need. I need clear and simple instructions. So if you don't want to make a lotus, I'd love to see if you make any other ones. So until next time, take care, look after yourselves, look after each other, and thank you. Bye.